Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with the 4th video in our Platinum Trophy Guide for Dark Souls Remastered. Now, like I've said in the previous 3 videos, this guide does use a duplication glitch for our souls, as we don't really need the glitch anymore for humanity, but it still works for humanity. Now, I'm probably not going to show it off anymore in the rest of the videos unless I absolutely have to for certain items, which I'm probably going to anyways. And now that I think about it, I'll probably have to do it now anyways, just to get some souls needed for some other upgrades as well. So like I said, how you're going to want to do the glitch is you want to find whatever souls or item you want to duplicate. So I'm going to use the Soul of a Proud Knight as an example. You're going to want to change its order, so that will be where it'll be at in your menu, and you'll put it right underneath the Estus Flask. So before you do that, you then want to go and act like you're going to buy some arrows, obviously choosing the cheapest kind that you can get to maximize the amount used. Then from here you're simply just going to back out. You can skip the dialogue, but then from here you're going to want to go to your brightness, and you're going to want to hit enter and R1 to tab over back to your inventory menu. As you'll see, upon doing it correctly, you will have this double layered menu. And then what you're going to want to do is go down. Then you'll see that the icon is hovered over the soul. Then you're going to want to act like you quit the game. And as you'll see, this will prompt up a menu to use the item 999 times. As you'll see, I will use the soul and get roughly almost 2 million souls in total. Now, if you happen to have more than one of the items, it's best to drop everything but one of the items on the ground so you don't use them all, because it does consume them upon use. A bit kind of wasteful if you happen to do that, of course, but from here we're basically now finally going to head into Sens Fortress. Like I said, the last couple of videos are basically going through the starting areas of the game and how to get to this point to enter Sens Fortress, as well as ensuring that all of the other necessary areas have been covered and cleared in terms of items and things like that. Now, in order to even get into Sens Fortress, normally you have to ring 2 bells, one of which is from the bell gargoyles just behind us, and then the other one is found in Quelaag's domain after fighting her. Now, in the last video, we did come through Sens Fortress to grab a couple of items, and that was to make farming for certain things a little bit easier. I will still show where to get the item that we grabbed, which was the gold serpent ring, which increases our item discovery. Now, upon running through Sens Fortress, you can also grab some large titanite shards as well. Now, as you're progressing through, you'll notice that there's a couple of these enemies that you can find and deal with. Now, like I said, whenever it came to this enemy right here, we used him to actually break open this wall right behind us, as to avoid having to go all the way around and use the boulders. As you can see, if you get him to use his thrusting attack, it makes it a lot easier to get him to break it, as it's the only attack that will break it, of course. And then just like that, he'll go down. Now, the reason why we opened up this door and wall is so we can free Big Hat Logan, as well as obtaining a soul of a hero to get 10,000 souls. Now, the first time you come out here, there will be a giant boulder that will start rolling towards us. Now, I'm not sure if the boulder will ever come back this way, but for the sake of things, while it is not, you can come up here and in this chest grab a ring of steel protection, which is pretty nice. Okay. Now, as you'll see right here, you can actually come and drop down and find a shottle, or shottle. And then from here, you can actually come down here, and we're going to start Sigurd's quest line. Now basically you can just simply talk to him and then exhaust all of his dialogue. As you'll see, make sure that you have it to where he doesn't say anything else, which is exactly what we want. Then we'll make some pancakes and be on our way. So from here we can now continue on the main path up through Sens Fortress. Coming into here, you can run along the left or right side of the hallway to quickly avoid getting hit by the arrows. Now this is probably going to be the hardest part of your journey, is getting through this area right here. But the best way to do it is simply to run up to about this point right here, and then you'll roll off. That's not what I wanted. If you happen to fall down, you can actually backstep through the boulders to save yourself, so don't worry about that. But the whole point is that you roll off right here, jumping down onto this little area right here. Coming into this area leads to nothing, so if you immediately just turn around, come into this door here, follow the stairs up here, and you're going to want to loot this corpse as it has a sorcery that you'll need to grab, the Hush sorcery. From here you can open up this gate and turn immediately to your left, and as you'll see, this will lead back down to the area where we had the snake man break the wall. Now from here you can turn this crank to the direction that we just came from to ensure that Sigurd makes it up and out of Sens Fortress. Now from here we can head along this hallway. You'll basically want to walk until you trigger the trap and then roll. It'll save you a lot of time and trouble. Now right here you want to make sure that you can run through those spikes and be a-okay. We'll take care of this snake man just because he can sometimes flank you and get in the way. Coming over here off to the left, before heading up the stairs, you can find another snake man guarding some large titanite shards. Now once he's taken care of, we'll look out behind us and see that the other snake man is also on his way. As you'll see. But because he doesn't have a shield, it makes it hard for him to block our attacks, and then we can now proceed up and be on our way. So from here you're now going to have to do a little bit of some tight walk between all of these items, and from here we're just going to head up and to the right. Now here in this area you're basically just going to follow this path up. As long as you are running and consistently moving, it'll make it hard for the giant to throw the boulders at you. As you'll see, like so, he'll throw giant flaming balls of fire. Now before we continue on the main path, we're actually going to come over here to this back area. We'll sneak up on this Balder Knight and make him some pancakes. As you'll see, he goes down fairly easily, and he also drops some more large titanite. He can drop a couple of items. Getting some large titanite is always nice. Now coming down over here to this secondary tower, we can find a unique enemy, as you'll find right here. As you'll see, he'll mainly try and shoot his bow at you first, which is very convenient for us. But just like that, he'll go down, and we can pick up our next unique item that we need to grab. His rapier. Now from here, if you actually head inside, you can grab a ring of sacrifice, or a rare ring of sacrifice, which is even better than the normal ring of sacrifice, as when you die while wearing that ring, you won't be cursed, you'll keep your humanity, and you'll keep your souls, which will actually become quite useful for us later on. Now, there's always one in those chests every single run, so you don't have to worry about missing out on that. But now we can head onto the main path and fight the next boss. But after we fight the boss, though, we're not quite done yet, as I will show you guys a unique vendor that you will probably want to have access to and want to use. So following this path, you'll just head on up. As you'll see, you'll just follow this path around. Take out this little archer guy just because. Then if we run up these stairs right here, we can actually take out this giant right here. You can see his health bar above us. This is the attack you mainly want him to do, where he goes a little crazy, and then he'll have a kind of a break afterward, as you'll see. And he'll drop a Titanite chunk. Now the main reason why we take care of him now is simply so he doesn't interfere with our fight. Now if you're struggling with this boss fight and you're in your human form, you can actually come over here and you can summon Black Iron Tarkus. Or Iron Tarkus is what it calls. Having him basically makes this fight a cakewalk and makes it very easy to do. So I'll wait for him to join us, or get a little bit closer, and then I'll begin the fight with the Iron Golem. So the best way to do this is simply run directly at him to bait in a normal attack from him, and then he'll normally try and go for a close attack or a grab on you. Now you can keep baiting him in while Iron Tarkus gets close, and you guys trade aggro. So basically how this fight will go down most of the time is that you will have a certain damage threshold to meet on the Iron Golem, and that will actually knock him over. So having both you and Iron Tarkus here definitely makes it a whole lot easier. As you can see, once you reach that threshold, he'll then start staggering, and then okay, yeah, sure. And then he will normally fall down once you reach that threshold. Now, based on where you fight him and the angle that he falls back down, as you saw, he can fall to his death. Pretty easy boss fight if you know how to do it and to position him in the right way so that it happens. Now, like I said, we're not quite done yet, so what we can do is from here we can run and do a jump back down to a previous area, and then over here you're basically going to want to run and jump inside this building here, or jump over to this building here, not jump into the building here. And here you can actually find Tarkus himself. Now from here you can purchase some items. I highly recommend grabbing all of the large Titanite shards that you can get, and then we're probably going to need roughly, I would say just grab 36 of the green Titanite shards. And then if you want to purchase any other items you can. You can also use him to buy the Katarina set as well. You can buy his set, and then you can buy a couple of rings, and as well he also sells some arrows. Now what I would highly recommend doing is heading back to Andre and upgrading all of the weapons that we got to +5, all of the ones that we're going to use to turn into boss weapons, into +6, as you'll see, like we did with the straight sword hilt. It just will help you out a lot longer. and will shorten the time doing it later on, as well as picking out an item that you want to get all the way up to plus 15. Now for me personally, I like to just upgrade my grass crest shield all the way up to plus 15, as it's one of my favorites. It doesn't have good physical, as you can see it's 95 instead of 100, but it has good magic and lightning defense. Not the greatest, of course, but still. Or if you really want to, you could use whatever item you want to get all the way up to plus 15. It's perfectly fine with me. So I'm going to quickly do that, and then I'm going to see you guys at the top of the arena where we fought the Iron Golem. Alright, so one thing like I mentioned before is when you're here upgrading all of your weapons to plus 6 that you are going to use and turn into boss weapons, also make sure that you upgrade your weapon that you chose to turn into a raw weapon, as once you get that all the way up to plus 5, that will get you a trophy for the raw reinforcement, as well as whatever item you chose to turn into a divine weapon as well. Fully upgrading that will basically help you out the most. Now then, I'll see you guys at the top of the fortress. Alright, once you guys are finally ready, you can interact with the Ring of Light. Now, I'm probably going to skip this cutscene, as it is probably one of my favorite cutscenes in the game, but once you are done, you are now going to be in Anor Londo. Now, upon reaching Anor Londo, you will get a trophy, and then from here we can basically head down the main path and be on our way. Now from here you're basically just going to follow the path that I take to reach the next main bonfire, and you can see a couple of areas that we're going to eventually go to, like the Duke's Archives way up there in the mountains. Now coming here off to the left, you will find your next main bonfire. From here we're just going to ignore going to the left and instead head straight for this elevator right in front of us. Now from here we can head down and we'll fight a surprise return of the gargoyle. Or if you want, you can fully skip it like I'm going to. It's really up to you what you want to do. But you'll come off here, off to the left and drop down, and then you'll walk up this little platform. Not exactly sure what the architectural structure is called, but from here you can then make your way up into the broken window and can make your way up the path that I take onto the little, I guess, scaffolding architecture here with the painting guardians. Now when it comes to this area, you basically want to be nice and slow, as you can see. Now while you're here, you're also going to want to break this chain and drop the chandelier onto the ground down below. We'll eventually come back to that item, but for now, basically it's what you want to do. As you'll see though, we can easily take out and fight the painting guardians. Now depending on things, you can also run and jump from here to avoid fighting the third one, if you're so inclined. Now from here you can actually lower the elevator right here down to the main area so you can access it. There'll be a small cutscene, of course, upon activating it the first time. And then what you actually want to do is just lower it one more time. Now from here we can actually lure in this gargoyle into a plunging attack. As you'll see. Then, while it's also trying to come back up, we can also go in for, once again, another plunging attack. As you'll see, I like doing plunging attacks. They're fun. But we can take out this gargoyle get his helmet. Now if you actually come all the way down here, we can find the next bonfire that we're going to want to grab and activate just to save ourselves some time. As you'll see, a statue of the final boss of the game, Lord Gwyn, right in front of us. But from here, we're now going to backtrack and head back up the elevator. As you'll see. And then we'll turn this one more time. Then from here we're actually going to finally head to the main objective here in Anor Londo. Now I will state that I run a very specific path when I'm always traversing the first area of Anor Londo. I'm going to try and show you guys that now. It's done well for me overall, but depending on things, you might want to take things a little bit slower just to be on the safe side. But from here, what I like to do is I like to do a run and jump over this railing, and as you'll see, I'm going to die. Well, that was quite unfortunate indeed. Normally I don't get attacked, and I have another second to roll to that area that I was at. Just going to log out one more time and then hit continue, and this should save me, hopefully. Yes. As you'll see, now we can progress. Depending on things, you also want to kind of move to the left and right of this area, as well as being aware of the enemy possibly throwing lightning spears at you. From here, though, you're going to want to run around this enemy on our left. As you'll see, you'll have two silver knights firing arrows at us. That's always fun. But you can follow this path just like I am, and this will give you a couple of things. Now coming here off to the right, also be careful of the archer. Make sure he switches to his sword and shield before getting close to him, otherwise he can still hit you and knock you off, which is not fun at all. Now if you want to progress backwards over to the other archer, you can find another soul of a hero. But for us, we're just going to continue onward, heading into the building. Now here on the left will be the next bonfire that you guys can use, as you'll find right here, as well as finding Solaire of Astora. Now depending on how you want to do things, I always like to kindle this bonfire and use one of my humanity to make it a bonfire that gives us at least 10 Estus uses. Now from here we're basically going to head across to this opposite room, and then we're going to fight these silver knights. Now whenever they do that weird attack where they'll kind of like do a swipe with their spear, you want to wait before parrying that, but in the chest that he's guarding you can find 3 sunlight medals. So that puts our total at 6 overall. We just need 4 more and then we are good on that. Like the Black Knights, the Silver Knights are really good enemies to learn parrying on if you're having a bit of trouble with that. Now then, after that, we can come into this room over here, and in the fireplace is actually a hidden wall. Now coming down here, we are going to grab a couple of items that we need. The first item is here in this mimic chest, and that is going to be a occult weapon. That is one of the main weapon types that we're going to need to go down and fully upgrade to get a trophy for, and as you'll see, we'll get the occult club. In the rest of these chests, they're normal chests, but here you can grab 2 more items needed for a trophy: Havel's great shield and his dragon tooth. And then in these two chests right here, you can find his full armor set. So yeah, it's a pretty good armor set, but I think it's one of the only ones in the game that you can't upgrade. A bit sad, but it is what it is. So now from here we're going to start at the staircase and head on up. So from here you're going to follow the main path up. I will show you guys a shortcut later on that you can use for future runs. Now, as you'll see in these two chests as well up at the top here are also mimics. As you'll see, this one and the one right across. They give you a silver coin and a gold coin. I've never once used the items or found out what they're used for. But basically what we're doing is we're also working on grabbing another item to help increase our overall item discovery, and that is the symbol of avarice. But coming onto here into this hallway, you'll know you're on the right one because there'll be an archer at the end of it. Coming into here, be wary of an ambush. As you'll see, the Silver Knight is waiting for us. Sadly, we didn't get any drops, as you will need to farm these Silver Knights for their shield, sword, and their spear. But as you can see, they go down with one parry attack, which is pretty easy. Now, before we continue on the main path, we're also going to continue on doing Sigurd's questline as well. So coming over here and down these stairs right here, you can find Sigurd just chilling with a bit of a predicament. So we're just going to fix it for him. So coming into this room here, you will find 3 Silver Knights that you'll have to fight and defeat. With our current build, they go down fairly easily, and we got the sword. So now all we need is the shield and the spear. Don't worry, I will show you guys where you can get the full armor set for these guys as well while we are here. Sadly, no drops. But in this chest that they are protecting, you can find 2 Demon Titanite that is used to upgrade boss weapons. Now, if we come back and talk to him, he will thank us, but tell us not to be so brazen and bold, and that next time we should work together. But from here we can now head into the main central area. As you can see. And here, just on our right, is a room with 2 Silver Knights with spears. As you'll see, one was already ready to try and take us out, but he was no match for us. The next one will not attack you unless you get close enough to him to aggro him. Now in these chests you will find the Silver Knights set. Now from here you can actually open up a door back to the shortcut, back to the previous area where we started at, as you can see right here. Now, for future references, I will show you guys a shortcut you can do while going up the stairs. As you'll see, you'll reach this point right here. You can run and jump on the railing and quickly hop over to boom, be on the other side. Pretty easy if I do say. Now from here we're going to head out and follow this path up and around. We're going to grab the next unique weapon that we need to grab for a trophy. And that is out this window. So you can take this all nice and slow. Slowly falling on down and then following this around. Then you can kind of walk off. And then you'll find the Dragon Slayer Great Bow. And then from here you'll want to come over here and do a plunging attack on this demon. As you'll see, it goes down pretty easy. Now from here we're basically just going to try and be inside. as you'll see. And do be careful of getting flanked. Some of the hitboxes are a bit scuffed, but they normally take 2 hits to deal with. Now you will need to get their spear, which I will actually show you guys an easier method of how to get instead of farming them. But from here you will find and meet the giant blacksmith. Now from here we're actually going to make a very specific weapon that I like to make first, and that is by fully upgrading the straight sword hilt to +10. Now for all of the boss weapons you need to first upgrade all of the weapons that they get made from to +10. Now as you can see right here, you can then turn that weapon into a unique weapon using a soul and 5,000 souls. As you can see, we got the Artorias, or the Sword of Artorias, as you'll see right here, and this is actually the true version, which actually does some decent damage to a specific enemy type. Like I said, all of the boss weapons that you're eventually going to make and use will need to be at +10. But for now, it's just more or less me showing you guys that exactly. So now from here we can basically head on and fight the main boss of the area, Ornstein and Smough. Now depending on things, this can be a tough fight, but luckily we do have some help on our side. As you can see by that glowing orange summon sign, we can in fact summon our bro Solaire. But before we do that, we're going to take care of these 2 giants that are blocking our path, which has also reminded me of a weapon and shield that we're going to have to buy after the fight is said and done. But as you can see, these guys go down fairly easily, but do be careful as they can use Wrath of the Gods and they can heal themselves. So do keep that in mind before trying to take them on. They do also do quite a bit of damage. But you can kind of circle around them and use their attack patterns to exploit their size. But once all is said and done, you can then finally come up and summon our boy Solaire. Do be careful though, as his AI pathing is not exactly perfect, so if you summon him and then straight walk to the boss door, he will fall off and take some early damage from the fall. So I highly recommend summoning him and making sure he walks down with you to avoid having that happen, as it is a bit frustrating indeed. Now at this point he should be a-okay. And then once you guys are ready, we can take on the boss. Alright. Now we're going to take on everybody's favorite duo boss fight, Ornstein and Smough. Now how I like to do this best on my first playthrough is I like to actually take out Smough first, as he will go after us, and Solaire will go after Ornstein. As you'll see, this is more or less going to be a race of who can do more damage to who. Luckily, we are winning out on damage fight, which will be good for us, because the more HP we can save Solaire from losing during the first phase will make this a lot easier during the second phase. So now we have Giant Ornstein, who can actually be very difficult for some people to fight and deal with, as well as keeping Solaire alive. As you'll see, certain attacks are worth dodging. Whenever he jumps up and does his butt slam is the best time to go in and get a hit. The downside, of course, is 9 times out of 10, Solaire is going to be right up on him when he does it. And he likes to do it fairly often. As you'll see, It's the go-to move for the second phase of this boss almost all the time. But as you can see, we almost got hit with a very horrible attack. But like most bosses that you have Solaire for, if he takes aggro, then you can swap out and he can swap in. Now for some of these attacks, it's best to wait until the last second to dodge, that way you don't get hit, as some of the hitboxes are very specific. Like that one right there is a grab attack that he will always try and do. But just like that, we'll have taken on the duo and ensured our boy's safety. Now, defeating Super Ornstein will also get you the Leo ring, which is pretty nice. Now from here, we're also able to head up the elevators here. And get our next bonfire. Now coming inside this area here, we will get our next 2 trophies of the game. From here you can speak to Guinevere and she will give you the Lord Vessel. Now upon getting the Lord Vessel, will allow you to warp between very specific bonfires of importance, and then you'll get a trophy. Now immediately after, you can re-talk to her and join her covenant, the Princess Guard. That will also get you your next trophy. Now before I end this video, there's one last thing that I'd like you guys to do, and that is to buy the giant weapon and armor, or not armor, but the 2 giant weapons from the giant blacksmith. Now luckily you can survive that fall no problem, so don't worry about that. But we're just going to head back to him and buy the giant weapon and shield. Now you can farm them, but it's just easier to spend the souls since we have them. As you can see, you can run past these enemies for the most part, and they won't chase you. Now another thing I'll also mention that you want to farm for is the Silver Knight items. So the Silver Knight sword, the shield, and the spear. Now obviously, of course, I'm going to show you guys me getting the spear and then the shield as well, so you guys know that I got them, of course. But you can come right here, and as you can see, you can purchase a bunch of items from the giant blacksmith. He has the most that you can buy. Like I said, you want to come and buy his shield, his halberd, and the shield. You can also buy the Dragon Slayer arrows from him, as well as the giant armor set as well. Might as well grab whatever drip we can get while we can. Now I'm going to go grab those Silver Knight items while I'm thinking about it. So yeah. Alright, and after a bit of grinding, as you can see, I finally got the last of the Silver Knight items. Now from here, because you can actually just teleport now to wherever you want, we're going to just warp back to Firelink Shrine. As you can see on the left is a list of the specific bonfires that you can warp between. Do keep that in mind, as that will come in quite handy. Alright, now the last thing that we're going to do is talk to Sigurd here at Firelink Shrine and get a miracle from him. He'll ask you if doing the gate and the ball at the fortress was your doing, and you will get the miracle Emit Force. Then he'll mention that he's going to head down below. But that is where this video is going to end. Like always, I do hope that these guides are helpful or informative in any way, shape, or form, and as always, I will see you all in the next video.